NHL Team Stats, Week 16, 2019. Welcome aboard. I didn't do one of these last week for Week 15 because I knew the All-Star break and bye weeks were coming up, so I thought I'd hold off till now when there's no games for a few days. I'm filming this as of Thursday, January 24th, and the NHL player stats, Week 16, probably won't come out until the coming weekend. Let's start with the first category, shall we? Best power play percentage. Top 5, here we go. Number 1, Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 2, Boston Bruins. Number 3, Florida Panthers. Number 4, Winnipeg Jets. Number 5, Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh bounces Colorado off this top 5 list. And there's something to say about Florida. I know they've always been on this list, but Vincent Trocheck is now back. And if you don't know, he's their second-line center, and he's been contributing already. I'm not definitive if he's part of that first or second line power play unit, but to be curious to see if that moves up even more in the following weeks. Next up, let's talk about the worst power play percentage in the league. Starting off with number 27, the Columbus Blue Jackets, 28, Anaheim Ducks, 29, Philadelphia Flyers, 30th, Nashville Predators, and 31st, Montreal Canadiens. First off, it's weird to see Nashville there with those top 4 defensemen that they have. That's pretty shocking. I know they're still missing Kyle Turris, their second line center, but that's just bizarre to see them fall into that spot. The other one that's I'm curious about here, is Columbus, because they just hired Martin St. Louis as their special teams consultant. So we'll see if that goes up or goes down or where it goes in the coming weeks. And Montreal, I know I complain about this every week, them being in that bottom spot. Now they're in third place in the Atlantic Division, just behind the Maple Leafs. They just bumped Boston into a wild card spot. Now, if they want to do good in the playoff time, they've really got to improve on that. And I think Mark Bergevin, can never say that, Burglar, can never say that probably. You'll probably be looking for some sort of special team specialist to come in and fill that spot without, selling the farm kind of thing. So let's move on to the best penalty kill percentage in the league. Starting with 1, Arizona Coyotes. 2, a three-way tie between New Jersey Devils, Minnesota Wild, and Pittsburgh Penguins. 3, the Vegas Golden Knights. 4, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And 5, the Dallas Stars. Surprising to see Dallas on this, sort of, but you think that's mostly because of their 2 goaltenders. For the first time in many years, they have 2 decent goaltenders in Bishop and Hudobin. And of course, their top 2 D there probably have something to say about that as well. Anyone else on this list? Pittsburgh. It's funny to see both, well, it's not funny, but seeing Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay on this top 5 and on the top 5 on the power play as well. They're going to be prepared come playoff time. Moving on to the worst penalty killing percentage in the league. Starting off with number 27, the Colorado Avalanche. 28, Philadelphia Flyers. 29, Ottawa Senators. Number 30, the LA Kings. And number 31, the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe Colorado kind of squeezed onto that list, but otherwise we've all seen them there before. Moving on to short-handed goals. I only have top 3 here because there's a number of teams tied for the 4th spot with 6. Colorado is new to this list. And otherwise, Calgary's been there for 3 weeks now, I want to say. And Arizona's been there really almost from the beginning of the season. Moving on to best shooting percentage in the league. I thought I'd have 7 on here. Starting with number 1, Tampa Bay Lightning. 2, Calgary Flames. 3, Toronto Maple Leafs. 4, Washington Capitals. 5, Winnipeg Jets. 6, a tie between Ottawa Senators and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And 7, Colorado Avalanche and the New York Islanders. New York Islanders' shooting percentage has gotten better and onto this list. And another category Pittsburgh is in, as is Tampa Bay, really, and Calgary and Toronto. In any case, let's move on to the worst shooting percentage in the league. 27 through 31 here. 27, Buffalo Sabres. 28, Boston Bruins. 29 is a 3-way tie between Arizona, Anaheim, and Dallas. 30th spot there is LA. 31st spot is the Carolina Hurricanes, who have always been there because they take shots from everywhere and they take a ton of shots. I think they lead the league in shots per game. So, they've cemented that spot. Boston, surprising to see them there. I guess that's mostly due because to their second, third, and fourth line, because they don't have much depth. I know they're looking for a top six winger. I know they've been looking at Ferland and Simmons, but it'll be. Let's see if that changes. A trade might change that shooting percentage. Buffalo, I know Eichel was out for a little while, and they slid onto that list too. Moving on to the best save percentage in the league, starting with number 1, New York Islanders. Yeah. Number 2, Winnipeg Jets and Dallas Stars. Number 3, Boston Bruins. Number 4, Anaheim Ducks. Number 5, Tampa Bay Lightning, Nashville Predators, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, the Islanders, Leonard's been doing well. The whole team is playing better defensively under Barry Trotz. So Dallas, again, with those two goalies finally stabilizing that department. Winnipeg Jets. I mean, we know Hellebuck has been having a bit of an up and down season, but Brossoit, the backup's been playing really well. But Edmonton wish they had kept the hold of that one. Boston. After losing Halak with concussion lately, it was kind of lucky that it happened when it did because of the break and everything. Let's see if he does come back right away, or if he doesn't, can Boston hang on to that spot. The worst save percentage in the league, starting with number 27th spot, Chicago Blackhawks, 28 New Jersey Devils, 29 San Jose Sharks, 30th Florida Panthers, and 31st the Philadelphia Flyers. Let's talk about San Jose being in this position. I know I have mentioned this every week, really, but Dell and Jones are still, bordering around 900 save percentage. San Jose is second now in the Pacific Division, and makes you wonder if they didn't have players like Burns and Carlson especially, adding him recently, to move that puck out of that defensive zone fast. If San Jose would be where they are now. Something to think about. Love to hear your thoughts on that one. PDO, the top 5. For those of you who don't know what PDO means, basically it's a combination of the summary of save percentage and shooting percentage. 5 on 5. Some people say it's a bit of a luck statistic. But I think if you look at the top 5 here, all these teams are, are hardworking and in the top of the league right now, starting with number 1, New York Islanders, number 2, Toronto Maple Leafs, number 3, Washington Capitals, number 4, Pittsburgh Penguins, number 5, Tampa Bay Lightning, and number 6, I'm going to take a swig of water. Because my tongue is total lacking in moisture right now. All right, what can I say about that list? It is what it is. Those teams are there for a reason. The worst PDO in the league, starting off with 27 spot, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, 28 the Minnesota Wild, 29 San Jose Sharks, 30th Arizona Coyotes and the Carolina Hurricanes, and 31st spot the Florida Panthers. I know Minnesota has issues scoring this year. Stahl hasn't been at the same pace he was. I mean, he scored 40 last season, and then I know Dubnyk had a bit of a rough spot at one point in net, and then they're missing Dumba, who's been injured for a while. I know Spurgeon has really stepped up, but still they miss him. Vegas, you knew they weren't going to keep up with the kind of offense they had last season. And there's been some regression, even though they picked up Stastny and Pacioretty. Stastny was injured, by the way, for a good period of time. Pacioretty's been in and out of the lineup. I want to say, not Holla, but is it Holla? Yeah, Holla, the third line center. He's been out for a while. He's been out for a bit, so that's probably. And then you look at Carlson and Marchessault having their shooting percentage not being quite the same, and it kind of reflects in that spot right there. Let's move on. Goals for average. Top 3. Yeah, number 1, Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 2, Calgary Flames. Number 3, Toronto Maple Leafs and the San Jose Sharks. Nothing shocking there. Next up, the goals against average. First spot there. The top 3, we've got the New York Islanders. Number 2, the Dallas Stars. Number 3, the Boston Bruins. Again, can Boston hold on to that spot if Tuukka Rask doesn't come back right away from his concussion? Will Halak hold the fort? Next up, for the face-off percentage, top 5 in the league. Number 1, Philadelphia Flyers. 2, Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 3, Calgary Flames. Number 4, Anaheim Ducks. Number 5, the St. Louis Blues. The usual suspects there, and basically the same order. I think Toronto's moved up. One thing, I mean, besides Tavares being good at it, and Matthews and Kadri being the other centers who are about average, who have improved their face-off percentage, their win percentage. There's Par Lindholm, who came to Toronto from the Swedish League at the beginning of the season, and he also plays the first line penalty killing unit, and he's pretty good at the face-off. The face-offs as well, so that's another reason why they're up there. Moving on to the worst face-off percentage in the league. Number 27, the Edmonton Oilers. 28, New Jersey Devils. 29, Montreal Canadiens. 30th spot is a tie between New York Rangers and Arizona Coyotes. And 31, we have the Washington Capitals. Washington, again, they have not been able to climb out of the basement there. And now that their defense, is playing poorly, as is their goaltending, it kind of shows why they've lost 7 in a row. And when you're not starting with the puck almost ever, the offensive zone, the defensive zone, I think that's part of it. And I know they're looking to pick up a face-off expert before the trade deadline as well. Next up, we have the shots against per game, or shot suppression, so to speak. Number first spot, as always, is the Carolina Hurricanes. 2 is the Vegas Golden Knights. Number 3 is the San Jose Sharks. The Vegas Golden Knights, Fleury. I think the only reason why he might not burn out in the playoffs is because Vegas is on this list consistently. Who knows? Maybe he'll start throwing Saban in, and that will be beneficiary for them as well. San Jose, Dell and Jones are having one of their worst seasons ever, and in order to do that, they got to bring down the shots per game, and Carlson and Burns definitely helps that category. Now, the worst shots against per game, this is the smelly area. I know you'll appreciate I drew that in brown. Starting off with the 29th spot, the Anaheim Ducks. 30th spot, Chicago Blackhawks. 31st, Ottawa Senators. Hits per game. Top 4 there, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins, Edmonton Oilers, and Vegas at number 2. The Montreal Canadiens at number 3, and New York Rangers at number 4. I'm wondering to myself, Pittsburgh, with that, they're consistently at number 1 in that spot for the last while now, and with the mature players that they have on the team, I know they hit by committee, but can they keep that up in playoffs? And will that tire them out? I don't know. Vegas is, consistently is known as a fast, hard forechecking team. So it didn't tire them out last year, and I'm pretty sure they led the league in hits at that point last season as well. The bottom 4 hits per game teams, starting with 28, the Nashville Predators. 29, Toronto Maple Leafs. 30th, the Chicago Blackhawks. 31st, the Calgary Flames. Goes to show you, I know I say this every time I do this board, but you don't have to hit a lot to be really good in this league. I mean, with the exception of Chicago, those other 3 teams are doing really well. And hey, even Chicago has been playing well of late. Points. Let's talk about the top 5 teams in the league. There is a little bit of a surprise here. Let's start with number 1, Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 2, the Calgary Flames. Number 3, the San Jose Sharks. Number 4, Nashville Predators, tied with the Winnipeg Jets at 64 points. And number 5, we have the New York Islanders at the 5th spot with 63 points. They bump off the Toronto Maple Leafs, who stole arguably their best player as a UFA, and now they've been playing amazing. Trotz has really done such a great job with that team. And look at Calgary, only 5 points behind Tampa. I think Tampa was at one point they were 10 points clear of every team in the league, I want to say, and Calgary's caught up with them, albeit I think Tampa Bay has at least 2 games on hand on Calgary. The worst team in the league in terms of points, the bottom 5 there, starting with number 27, New York Rangers. Edmonton Oilers and St. Louis all tied with 49 points. Number 28th spot, we have the Florida Panthers with 48. 29th spot, we've got Chicago and Detroit with 45. 30th, Philly and LA with 44, and 31. We've got Jersey and Ottawa backing up the rear there. Jersey now at the bottom with Ottawa. An interesting thought came to my head the other day, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, I was wondering, hey, who would I want to get Jack Hughes? Who would I want to finish last and get that pick? And obviously I thought, okay, well, I don't want anyone in Toronto's division in the Atlantic to get him. And then, of course, I wouldn't, as well, in the Eastern Conference, I wouldn't want to see him there. So I'd want to see him go to the West. But I wouldn't want to see him to go to Colorado, who owns Ottawa's first-round pick, because, man, Colorado's they need more depth, but they're on the verge of being a contender. They're just missing a couple pieces, and man, would Jack Hughes be a big piece. You think he would start off on that second-line center spot behind McKinnon, and he could be that, if their goaltending got better, they could be a real dangerous team with him starting next year. They could literally be, a contender for the Cup. Anyone else there from the West? I guess I would really like to see LA get him, because they definitely have depth problems right now, speed problems. There's a lot of issues. Coaching, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be the best case scenario for me as a Leaf fan, is to see him end up in LA, because LA would still need to revamp, I'd say, like half their lineup in order for them to be pushing for even for a playoff spot again. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I would love, as always, to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything related on this board, and yeah, hit that like button if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you happen to have any Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.